I have a problem. As you can see, guys, the problem is pretty extensive. My TBR has given up on life, my shelf space is at its last legs despite being expanded recently, and my wallet that is fueled by meager Southeast Europe wages is weeping. What can you do? I publicly announced that I'm not going to buy any more books this year, apart from those bought on the book fair later in October and in the holiday season at the end of the year. Anyway, hello guys, I hope you're all doing well today. I wanted to show you some new books I've got. At first I wanted to show you the books I've got in a single haul that I did a few days ago, but then I decided that I will just show you all the books I've got in September. With the Penguin box set, it's more than 100 books, so let's get into that. So, first up, we've got two big Dickens novels. I read Bleak House a few months ago and I really loved it, so I had to buy more. I've got Nicholas Nickleby, and you can see that these are Wordsworth classic editions. You probably know they have very weird covers, but they're like $3 or so. So I guess I can't really complain. The cover on the website was different. It had two old men pointing at each other, which is similar to the Penguin edition, I guess. And that's more, it gives off a confrontational vibe, and this is more comforting, I guess. The second one is Our Mutual Friend. This cover is pretty critical. It has this creepy looking doll. I'm not sure I like it, and I'm not sure what they were thinking, but okay, I guess $3 is $3. Uh, I think this is the newer style of design for the classics, because before this year all were looking like this, and now I got a few that look like this, so I assume these are the newer ones. If I do read one of these two books this year, I think it will be Our Mutual Friend. It is about a man who is coming back to England to secure his inheritance, and in order to do so he needs to marry a certain woman, and he wishes to evaluate that woman beforehand, and he does so anonymously. And he is able to do so anonymously because I believe that everybody else thinks he has drowned on the way there, so nobody knows him and everybody thinks he's dead. I think it goes something like that. I heard good things about this one and I want to read it next. Next we have another Wordsworth edition. It is the Italian by Anne Radcliffe. I don't know anything about this book, and I have to admit that I haven't heard about Anne Radcliffe before September. I never heard her mentioned in any video on YouTube or anywhere else. But then suddenly I got a few videos who mentioned her in a row, and they were all saying how she's very underrated, she is a pioneer of the Gothic genre, she must read, and so on. And so I bought this one because this is the one I heard being recommended the most. I don't know what it's about, and I think I'm going to read it next year. This one also had a different cover on the website, but this one is a welcome change because the old Tales of Mystery and the Supernatural had terrible covers, and these new ones are quite alright, I think. At least for me. Next up is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I love the Grishaverse books, and I hear this is a dark academia book, so I think this will be a nice autumnal read. I'm looking forward to reading this soon. Next is Hard-Boiled Wonderland and the End of the World by Haruki Murakami. I love Japanese literature, but I haven't read a single Murakami book yet, and I'm not sure this is actually a good starting point, so I might not read this now, but go for something more accessible. But we'll see when the time comes. Next we have The Cuckoo's Calling by Robert Galbraith. That is actually a pseudonym of J.K. Rowling, with which she writes the Cormoran Strike detective series, and this is the first book of the series. I heard very good things about it, and I really love the Harry Potter books, so I am looking forward to reading this. Next we have the first book in my language. I will put down timestamps and the names of all the books mentioned so you can maybe follow easier, but this is The Red House Mystery by Alexander Milne. I understand it is a classic murder mystery novel. It is quite short, and I didn't actually see it mentioned much. I don't actually remember it mentioned at all, but I kind of have a good feeling about it, that it's going to be fun, and it actually might be my next read now. I like to read murder mysteries in autumn, so this is probably going on the top of the TBR pile. Then I bought Anna Karenina. I was hoping to read this now. Actually, I was hoping that I would already have started reading this now, but the reading slump is preventing me from attempting such a large book at this moment, so I probably am going to postpone Anna Karenina until next year. But I am looking forward to it. I love Tolstoy. Then I got selected works by Jane Austen. In this tome we have Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, and Emma. So I guess we've got her most famous novels here. I've never read any of her work, and I am going to try one and see how it goes. If I like it, I'll read the rest as well. They aren't too long. Then I got The Lady with the Camellias by Alexander Dumas' son. I don't know much about this book, but I think Verdi's opera Traviata is an adaptation of this novel. It's about a rich lawyer from a well-renowned family that falls in love with some girl that is, I guess, beneath his social class and standing, so society has an issue with their relationship, I think. I don't know, I'm not sure. I think it's something like that. Next we have two novels by Ivan Turgenev, printed in a single volume. They are Rudin and Fathers and Children. I've read some works by Ivan Turgenev before, and I really love them, and I think he's a very underrated Russian novelist. So I am looking forward to reading this. I might read one now and leave one for next year. We'll see. So, these are the Nevernight Chronicles by J. Kristoff. I love reading epic fantasy, but I haven't read any in maybe 2 years now, actually, so I should get back into that. I've started reading the first book in the series, and it's quite alright, but I have only read 150 pages until now, so I don't know much, but Mia, the main character, is a young girl whose father was executed as a traitor, and she is of noble birth, so her world gets turned upside down. The ones who executed her father and imprisoned her mother order her to be killed as well, but she escapes and finds refuge with an old man who is actually part of some assassin cult, so she starts training with him, and she trains with him for a few years, and then he sends her to across the seas so she can further her training as an assassin. And she also can control her sentient shadow or something. It is not yet clear what exactly that ability is, but I think I will like this. Maybe not love it like some of the epic fantasy I have read, but it should be alright, I hope. So those were the books from that one recent haul, and here are some others I got. I got these few in a sale. The first one is Good Girl, Bad Blood by Holly Jackson. It is part 2 to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I really loved the first book, and I hope the second is just as good. It has that cozy vibe, which I am looking for in autumn reads. Next up is The Housemaid by Freida McFadden. I've heard mixed reviews about this one. Some people laud it as one of the best thrillers, and some say it is kinda garbage, so I'm not sure what I'll think. Many of the thrillers that are constantly on top of the tier lists and rankings on YouTube have been hit or miss with me, so there's no rule about it. I don't know. We'll see. And lastly, here we have the Inheritance games, parts 1 and 2. I see this is popular on TikTok. I actually bought it just to add my cart and get a bigger discount in the online shop, so I don't think I'm going to read this anytime soon, but who knows. They aren't very long, so it might be a quick, easy read. I don't know. Then we got this in a bookstore. It is Road of Bones by Christopher Golden. I've read this one already, so I can tell you more about it. I thought this was a thriller, but it's actually more like folk horror. It's about this man who travels to Siberia so he can drive along this highway. He goes with one of his friends and colleagues, and he wants to make a show there about life and local legends and such. And they get a guide and they all pack to go to a town up north. But when they arrive, the town is completely abandoned apart from a creepy girl, and there are some huge, weirdly acting wolves around them, and the story picks up from there. I don't want to spoil anything. What I can say is that I didn't like it that much, but I will talk about it more in my next video when I talk about what I've read in September. So yeah, beautiful edition of Babel, an arcane history by R.F. Kuang. I don't know much about this book. I saw it classified as a dark academia somewhere, but I don't think that is maybe too accurate. I'm not sure. It is about about the Oxford translators revolution, which I don't know anything about. I don't know if that's even a real event or not. I'm not sure. That I might check. I read Yellowface by the author and I liked it, but I think I will like this more. It seems right up my alley, so I'm looking forward to this. Then we have this lovely box set, Penguin Little Black Classics. I've got this set for my birthday from my mom. The first 80 volumes are here, and I know more were printed. I think there's 126 of them now. These are the first 80. And I think this is a very good buy. It costs like $78. Essentially it's $1 per book, which I think is very cheap. And you have a good selection of works here. I read some of these in other places before, but there are many I never heard about before, so I'm looking forward to checking them out, get acquainted with their writing, and maybe find a new favorite author. I'm very excited actually to pick out a few of these. I always like to have a short book somewhere which I can read quickly and in one sitting. I think it looks nice, although it can't fit on my small shelf. At least it can't fit with this box. Maybe without it it can. I don't know. I'll see where I'll put them. I think this is a good buy for book lovers. Unfortunately, it doesn't contain Matilda by Mary Shelley, which is the little black classic that I wanted to read the most, but that's alright. I'll find it elsewhere. I got two more books for my birthday from my friends. The first is Sweet Bean Paste by Durian Sukegawa, and I really love Japanese literature. I read a lot in the past 2 years, and I don't think I actually ever disliked a Japanese novel, so I have high hopes for this. It is about a middle-aged man who wanted to become a writer, but he couldn't, so now he has to work in a sweet shop, and there's an old woman who comes along there, and he finds her disgusting, but he finds out that she makes the best sweet bean paste, so he lets her work there, and they form a bond, and he tries to learn how to make bean paste, and the story goes on, follows those two, I think. And the second book is Wrong Time, Wrong Place by Gillian McAllister. It's a thriller, I think, but it might have some supernatural elements because it seems that a mother witnessed her son committing a murder, but then she woke up the next day and it was actually the day before the murder. And every time she comes to the murder, I think it goes further into the past or something like that. I don't know. You might notice that I'm vague when talking about what these books are about. It's because I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the books I'm going to read are about precisely because I don't like to know. I want to find out along the read, so I can't really provide much insight into what these books are about. I'm going to make a new video next that is about books I have read, so there I will talk more in depth. Here I cannot actually tell you much, I'm sorry. The Virgin Blue by Tracy Chevalier. I got this at a giveaway. It is about a woman who is lonely and outcast, and she wants to find more about her ancestors and her family, so she investigates that, and another part of the story is following, I think those are her ancestors. There's a woman who is shunned by society, accused of being a witch, and so on, and she's forced to marry into some nasty family. The husband is torturing her, and I think those are the first girl's ancestors. I don't know, I haven't read it yet either. And the last one is These Silent Woods by Kimmy Cunningham Grant. It's a story about a father and a daughter who live in isolation in a dark wood, silent wood, and their only contact with society is some delivery guy who brings them supplies every so often, but one time he doesn't appear for the scheduled drop, and so I guess they need to go and find supplies, and then you learn slowly about why are they even there, why the father wants to stay isolated, about their relationship, and so. It seems like an interesting premise, and it is interesting to me, but I read something similar with a similar premise, and I didn't like it. I thought the execution was very bad, so I hope this doesn't go the same way. I hope it is better. So that's the last of the books I've got in September. There's a lot of them, and I hope you enjoyed going through them with me. The next video I want to make is about the books I have read in September, so there I can go more in depth and offer more insight and recommend stuff. And among the books we mentioned today, I hope you found something that interests you, and maybe you can look into it yourself and see if you want to read that book or something. So anyway, I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again sometime. Goodbye. However, as you probably know, they have sticky. As you probably know, they have very weird